Thanks for joining us. I'm Chris Ensing. Katarina's away tonight. Here's what's making news now.
To the suspects featured in the Bolo Top 25, today, your world gets smaller.
I think the nostalgia is a big factor there because really the experience of doing it, you're taking the photos, but you can't see them right when you take them.
And so I'm very happy that I'm able to present a copy of this to the historian who's examining our incredible history.
We start tonight with a new nationwide top 25 suspect list released today by police, highlighting people they say are suspects for serious crimes. Number 4 on that list, a man wanted in connection to the shooting death of a Windsor teen. CBC's Jason Vio tells us how this new program aims to find that suspect and many others.
Nuraldin Rabi is the 4th most wanted suspect in Canada. That's according to the Bolo program that just released its top 25 list today.
Rabi is wanted in connection to the shooting death of 16-year-old Chance Guterres. His body was found in an alley near Caroline and Church Streets, and it's been 4 years since that Valentine's Day 2018, and they're still searching for one suspect.
Soon after, police did arrest and charge 20-year-old Mal Chol of Waterloo with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and forcible confinement. He pled guilty to manslaughter and is serving a 7-year prison sentence. But police are still looking for Rabi, and the family is still seeking justice. Chance Gautier's parents, Kimberly and Scott, had their statement read out loud today as a way to maintain some privacy.
Knowing that he left our son to die, helpless, bleeding and beaten, and having no regard for his suffering or his life, rocks us to our inner core each and every day.
The suspect's whereabouts are unknown, but police say they believe he fled to Egypt. There's also a red notice alerting international police authorities about Rabi.
Cases are never cold, but the fact that, an example today, this has brought this matter that Mr. Rabi's wanted back to the forefront.
Last year, a $50,000 reward was offered for anyone who came forward to help in locating Rabi. While that reward remains open, it has not resulted in his arrest. Police say the Bolo program will bring additional visibility to older cases and include billboards and social media campaigns.
Today, your world gets smaller. You've already been looking over your shoulder since you decided to evade arrest. With the major rewards announced today, the loyalty of any friends and associates assisting you in evading arrest will be tested.
For suspects like Rabi who aren't believed to be in Canada, there are no plans to make his face known worldwide publicly, but officials still think starting here will help.
It's not because a suspect isn't here that someone here doesn't know where he is.
At this stage, officials say they're searching for everyone on the list because they're ready to go to court and they just need the suspect in custody.
Investigators are not looking for evidence. They are not looking for a witness. They just need to know where these fugitives are located.
The family hopes the extra attention and reward will be enough to lead to his arrest.
Your tip will not bring back our Chance, but perhaps knowing this man is behind bars and another family will not experience this same nightmare will ease some of our anguish.
2 other suspects wanted by Windsor police made the top 25 list as well, both accused of committing murder. Jason Vio, CBC News, Windsor.
Windsor City councillors are getting a pay bump next year, but not everyone agreed on that salary boost. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa joins us live now. Jen, why did they decide to raise the salary for incoming councillors?
Councillors who spoke in favor of this are hoping that it will attract a more diverse set of candidates to the role. The change would boost councillors' salary by about $5,000, bringing it up to $52,000.
I want an incredible cross-section of people representing the citizens of the city of Windsor. And if that's going to take increasing modestly the pay for that, so we can get some young people in here, we can get some single mothers in here that can afford daycare and additional daycare. I want the community that I live in represented around the council table.
The increase was recommended in a report by the Council Compensation Review Committee. It mentioned that this is necessary largely because of the amount of hours councillors are working. The role of councillor is part-time, but the committee found that many were breaching that, working anywhere from 25 to 60 hours a week. Yet a few councillors and the mayor were against the increase.
Don't get me wrong. Sitting as a city councillor means your time is not your own, but sitting as a council member is a community service. We're contributing to the well-being of our community.
It seems like an easy job. Once you get here, you realize it's a challenging position.
and it does take time to do well. But I have a real hard time saying that this is the right thing to do.
Dilkins highlighted that Windsor councillors already are getting paid more than those in comparable cities, the average being about $40,000, according to a third-party report that the committee commissioned. The mayor, who makes about $199,000, will not be getting an increase.
Now, Jen, council also looked at an application to expand Windsor Salt. What's happening there?
Council approved a licensing agreement with the salt mining company. This will allow it to build more brine wells in Malden Park. These are used for salt extraction. Some councillors were concerned, though, about the impact of noise on nearby residents as the construction involves drilling.
My understanding with respect to the noise and vibration, and the representatives from Windsor Salt can confirm, is that it would be similar to any construction project, a typical construction project, and the construction would happen during daylight hours. Like any construction project, you're going to have banging, you're going to have large equipment being moved, but only during working hours.
The license gives Windsor Salt access to the park, and it also means that it's responsible for maintaining and repairing the wells. The company needs some provincial approvals to move forward, though, and it hopes to start construction fall of this year.
Now, Jen, last night we heard about a push for a rental licensing pilot project. Where does that stand?
Well, despite some opposition from landlords, the pilot will be moving forward in wards 1 and 2, where there is that high concentration of student housing. Under the project, rental properties with up to 4 units must be inspected to make sure that they meet building and fire codes. The license will cost landlords $466 at first and then $275 for renewal. After 2 years, the pilot could be expanded citywide. Chris.
Thanks for this, Jen. CBC's Jennifer Lagrasso live tonight. Another death in our region today due to COVID-19. According to the local health unit, the person who died was a woman in her 90s. She was not living in long-term care or a retirement home. The latest death comes as hospitalizations also rise. 74 people currently in hospital in the region, including 4 who are in intensive care. 2 weeks ago, that number was 55. A new COVID-19 screening tool has been approved in the United States, a breath test to detect the virus. Now, a saliva test is also in the works here at home. Christine Burak has more on the tests and how data from those new devices could help track future waves of the virus.
The PNY 1000.
It's essentially the first breathalyzer for COVID-19. Users simply blow into the straw for roughly 10 seconds. The results can take less than 3 minutes.
The way the test works is it actually looks for compounds that are released from the breath.
The U.S. FDA recently authorized it, saying it identified over 91% of COVID-positive breath samples and almost every negative case. Not as accurate as a PCR test, but better than a rapid antigen test. The U.S. company behind it hopes to use it at big events, restaurants, and airports.
It's really a movement to bringing tests closer to the patients, making them cheaper, making them more available.
It hasn't been submitted to Health Canada for approval yet, but some doctors here are eager to see more testing options and a Canada-wide strategy for tracking this virus.
It's very disjointed how people are using testing in the country.
Testing sites have largely disappeared, and rapid testing offers limited data.
We also reduce our ability to understand what's going on in the community when we decrease testing.
I wouldn't say we're flying blind. We're looking to see what other sources of information can be used.
That includes wastewater surveillance. The data shows whether virus levels are rising or falling, but can't track cases.
The device can make a difference if it includes also a website where you report your result.
In terms of testing and tracing, I think this is a fantastic.
Shashanta Mitra is impressed with the breath test. He's leading a team working on a paper-based COVID-19 saliva test.
Really easy to use, environmental friendly. This is where you see a red line.
While governments are responsible for strategies around tracking, Mitra says scientists are still working to improve testing.
What we are trying to address here is the consciousness within our society to manage this COVID-19 in a more meaningful manner.
We work with a negative sample.
And ultimately, the goal is to help everyone make decisions that can save lives. Christine Burak, CBC News, Waterloo, Ontario.
The head of the United Nations was in Moscow today, imploring the Russian president to end the invasion of Ukraine. At the same time, in Kiev, a symbol of friendship between the two countries being torn down. All the while, the fighting rages on. CBC's Ellen Morrow has the latest.
A towering bronze statue in the heart of Kiev, a Russian and Ukrainian worker side by side. This monument was a gift from the Soviet Union in 1982, meant to represent friendship. Today, as Russia's invasion rages on, workers came to tear the statue down. The mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, said this statue, this Soviet symbol, simply could not be in the Ukrainian capital any longer after the horrors of the past 2 months. Klitschko was on site to see the dismantling.
Right now, Russia destroys this friendship, destroyed relationship between two countries. And right now, this monument have total different symbolic.
The teardown comes on another day of fierce fighting in the south and east. This is the aftermath of a strike in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, and signs of the human toll it inflicted. In Mariupol, the steel factory where the last Ukrainian forces in the city remain holed up is under a fresh attack. Mariupol's mayor says a third mass grave has been found near the city. Thousands of people remain trapped in Mariupol, evacuation efforts failing repeatedly over recent days. We've lost absolutely everything, Nina Sherbak says. We don't know what to do or how we will start again. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres was in Moscow today, meeting with President Vladimir Putin, imploring him to end the invasion, pleas going unheeded. Earlier, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov refused to acknowledge any Russian wrongdoing after what Guterres described as a frank discussion.
It is my deep conviction that the sooner we end this war, the better for the people of Ukraine, for the people of the Russian Federation, and those far beyond.
Back in Kiev, some were eager to pose with the fallen statue, a symbol of Russia no longer wanted here. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Kiev.
Here in Ontario, the provincial election campaign still isn't officially underway, but the Liberal Party is gearing up. It promises to end for-profit long-term care if elected, boost the wages of personal support workers, and bolster home care, making the Liberals the latest party to offer more money to support seniors. Miranda Redicott has the details.
We were very, very privileged and lucky to have our backyard during COVID.
Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca held a photo op with a couple who've lived in their home more than 50 years and hope to stay there. He announced a Liberal government would add $2 billion to the annual home care budget.
We will end this approach to dealing with seniors. We will change it. We will lead a revolution in seniors' care in this province that truly puts what seniors want, what seniors deserve, at the center of all of our decision making.
And he says he'd end all for-profit long-term care homes by 2028.
Does anybody watching today actually believe that seniors want to be stacked up like cordwood in warehouses or institutions? I don't.
The Liberals also promised to boost the wages of personal support workers to at least $25 an hour. During the pandemic, more than 4,300 Ontario long-term care residents have died with COVID-19. For-profit homes suffered the worst outbreaks and the most deaths. The NDP also promised to end for-profit long-term care.
I think the biggest difference is they had 15 years to do it, and they didn't. They privatized more of the home care system and more of the long-term care system when they were in office.
The NDP also planned to give $400 a month to family caregivers doing home care. Just yesterday, the PCs announced more for home care.
$1 billion more over the next 3 years to further expand home care.
Plus, they've promised 30,000 more long-term care beds by 2028.
I actually think the Liberals seem to have the most comprehensive approach that really thinks about making the most significant investments in home and community care.
He's glad all parties are committing more for seniors this election. Lorenda Redicott, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, this election, we want to hear from you. What should we be asking? What do you want to hear about? What do you want to hear about the issues that are on your mind during this campaign? Let us know online at cbc.ca/Windsor. We've got a dedicated questionnaire there you can fill out. And that same page has a list of people running across Windsor, Essex, Chatham, Kent, and Sarnia-Lambton. Local history buffs have always believed that Assumption Church, which dates back to 1845, is unique. Now, they're hoping that Parks Canada feels the same. Today, a rep from the federal agency was in Windsor to inspect the site, part of a process to get a special designation for the location, one that would attract more visitors to the church and its grounds.
One of the exciting events that we're experiencing right now is the processing of the application to have Assumption recognized as a nationally significant historic site. And in that application is the church itself, but also a lot of the grounds, including Assumption Park. And the history of this area is just so rich in so many ways. But one of the benefits that we have is that Father Pierre Potier was the first pastor of Assumption Parish, and he prepared a very extensive manuscript of everything that was happening in the parish from the time that he was here and even before. And so I'm very happy that I'm able to present a copy of this to the historian who's examining our incredible history. There are no legal ramifications. It is an honorary title and recognition, but it does provide an opportunity for a great promotion because Parks Canada identifies all of their historic sites, and many tourists and regular Canadians make a point of visiting as many historic sites as they're able to reach.
Take a live look outside there. A cloudy day in Windsor. Nick Sirkovich comes up next with a look at the forecast for us. Joining us now for a live look at the weather is Nick Sirkovich. Nick, we were just speaking. I woke up this morning and I saw the dreaded F word on my phone. Frost advisory.
I was going to say frost or flurries. Which one? Yeah.
Both of them are terrible,
I know. Especially as we're, creeping up
Came
on
off
May.
a good weekend. Yeah, we came in 26 or something like that.
Yes, it was. And now we're looking at frost. It is spring in Canada, right? But you know what? You're going to like the weather headlines. Not so much the first part, which is the frost advisory, but the rest of it. We've got a sunny stretch and some milder weather coming back. Okay, not 26 just yet, but it is going to get milder. Let me show you the temperatures right now, though. It's 6 degrees, so this is below the seasonal mark. In fact, the daytime high for today in Windsor came at midnight last night, and that was 10 degrees, and then it sort of fell through the night. Still a little breezy out there as well. We're seeing gusts up to about 40 kilometers per hour. That'll continue for the next couple of days, so it's still breezy for the next couple here. And there's the frost advisory in effect for the Windsor area. Now, everybody expecting to see frost. It just depends on the criteria for the frost advisory. So in this case here, it is kind of expected in other areas, but a slightly unusual or a little bit out of the norm for areas around Windsor, so that's why it ends up getting a frost advisory. But everybody expecting to see temperatures below the 0 mark. Still cloudy out there right now. We've got a few isolated showers, but you see the rain-snow line just to the north, and watch what happens here as we put this into motion. Cold weather drives down. We've got flurries in the forecast for parts of southwestern Ontario. Includes Windsor for flurries, but any accumulating snow kind of more toward the east. By tomorrow, we're looking at sunshine kind of clearing out in the Windsor area and even Chatham. Once you push toward London, though, still cloudy until it finally clears out on Thursday. And then there's your stretch of sunshine for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well. Snowfall accumulations, nothing in Windsor, but again, Sarnia, London, Guterres, a couple centimeters of snow. It won't stick around as temperatures come up above 0 tomorrow afternoon. But nonetheless, for tomorrow morning anyway, could see a little bit on the ground. For tonight, 0 degrees. There's the reason for your frost advisory. -1s as you head a little bit further toward the east. 5 degrees for tomorrow. Definitely on the cool side, but we get back into double digits for Thursday. There's your sunny stretch, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Temperatures up to 15 degrees, which is pretty close to the seasonal mark for this time of year, more or less, and then a few rain showers for Sunday.
That's good. That looks like something you can plan a picnic around, right? Just
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is better than the -1. Cover that. Yeah.
We can deal with that. Thanks for this, Nick.
You bet.
What do you do when you got a bunch of negatives? You turn them into art. We got a story about that next.
home.
Today marks the 36th anniversary of the devastating nuclear meltdown at the power plant in Chernobyl, Ukraine. That disaster claimed at least 30 lives, turned the region around that plant into a no man's land. The facility is now in a war zone, and the International Atomic Energy Agency is on the scene doing inspections. CBC's David Common traveled to Chernobyl with the IAEA.
We are here at the site of the worst nuclear disaster in human history. This is Chernobyl in Ukraine, and it has this year faced a new menace as Russian soldiers moved into this very spot during their invasion and took over an extremely sensitive area. We know that there were great concerns among the workers because they need to be here to maintain the safety of this exclusion zone. The Russians eventually did leave, but there continue to be a lot of concerns about what may have happened while they were here. Ukrainian workers did stay on site, were able to continue operations. The International Atomic Energy Agency is sending its boss here today to review practices and to try to continue the monitoring that has been going on. But it comes 36 years to the day since that disaster in 1986, which rendered this entire area largely uninhabitable for perhaps centuries to come. It was, in fact, in this building behind us where a sarcophagus has now been built over top of that disaster to try to contain the radiation. In this area, they don't want us to show it, but there are a lot of Ukrainian gun positions concerned about the possibility that Russians could one day return. We are not that far from the Russian border, in fact. You do see, and this is an area we can show you, the rail tracks that run out of the disaster area. There are soldiers manning that bridge as they do many, many areas around here. David Common, CBC News, Chernobyl, Ukraine.
Film photography has made a comeback in recent years, but it's not always easy to get those photos developed. The cost, the wait to get the pictures, it pushed one Windsor couple to learn how to do it themselves.
Like during the pandemic, it gave us like an outlet, and like the only thing you do is go outside. So we would just like drive to different places in the county and across Windsor, Essex that we had never explored before, and like tried finding the beauty in our own hometown while we couldn't cross the states.
I'm a musician, so I mean, when the pandemic hit, I couldn't, play in bands or do my regular creative outlet anymore. So I kind of needed something to be that creative outlet for me.
We take a lot of photos in the apartment and us just like doing things, working, living, and like hanging out with friends. We always pull out the camera.
Really, the experience of doing it, you're taking the photos, but you can't see them right when you take them,
There's
right?
Like an element of surprise.
So right away, you have to wait like say a couple weeks or a month to get your film developed. Really just a recent development that we started developing, no pun intended. When we found out we couldn't, or we didn't have to have a dark room to do it, that was cool. I mean, we could save money and do it ourselves too.
The first roll we did, something happened. It fell off the spool.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be those mistakes, right? But I mean, I think I don't mind when I mess up a little bit, and then, that I can say I did that, right?
Yeah.
Again, the art in the imperfections, I think.
The lovely joy of life's little imperfections. That is it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for more news, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.